I'm standing in the middle of Terminal 5 at JFK Airport at 6 in the morning, my carry-on at my feet, boarding pass pulled up on my phone. My heart's pounding as I dial my mom's number for the third time. Around me, families rush past with their vacation excitement, kids bouncing with energy, couples checking their flight times. And I'm alone, wondering where the hell my family is. "Where are you guys?" I say the second she picks up. "I'm at Terminal 5. There's a pause. Then I hear it. The unmistakable sound of waves crashing in the background. Ocean waves. "We're in Honolulu, sweetie." My brain short circuits. I actually pull the phone away from my ear to stare at it, like that'll make the words make sense. "What, the flight is at 9:45. "Why didn't you come to the airport yesterday, sweetie?" My mom's voice has this confused, almost concerned tone that makes my stomach drop. "Yesterday, you sent me March 15th, 9:45 a.m. I have the texts right." "No, we sent March 14th. You must have misread, honey." Click. She hangs up. I stand there frozen while a little girl, maybe 5 years old, tugs on her mother's hand and points at me. "Mommy, why is that lady crying?" "Hi, I'm Maya. I'm 28 years old, and yes, you heard that right. My own parents deliberately lied about our flight time so I'd miss a family trip to Hawaii. But before you judge what I did when they got back, let me tell you why this wasn't just about a vacation. If you've ever felt like you're the family punching bag, stick around. And hey, if this story resonates with you, hit subscribe. Because what happens next is something I never thought I'd have the courage to do. I promise by the end, you'll understand why some bridges are meant to burn. Let me take you back. Way back, because this story doesn't start at JFK Airport. It starts in Connecticut in a 2-story colonial house with a perfectly manicured lawn, 2 cars in the driveway, and a family that looked absolutely perfect from the outside. My family is, or was, 4 people. My dad's a financial advisor. My mom's an interior designer. They make good money, solid upper middle class. There's me, Maya, and my younger sister Sarah, who's 25. From the outside, we probably looked like we had it all. Annual vacations, nice cars, a beautiful home, the kind of family that shows up in home decor magazines, you know? But here's the thing about perfect-looking families. The prettiest packages sometimes hold the ugliest truths. I was 8 years old the first time I realized I wasn't really part of the picture. It was the Young Artist Award ceremony at school. I'd spent weeks on a drawing, a watercolor of our family at the beach. The teacher said it was the best in the 3rd grade. She'd called my parents personally to make sure they'd be there when I went up on stage. Mom promised she'd come. "I wouldn't miss it for the world, sweetie," she'd said, kissing my forehead. The ceremony started at 2 p.m. in the school auditorium. I sat in the front row with the other winners, scanning the crowd every 30 seconds. 3 o'clock came. The teacher called my name. I walked up those steps onto the stage, and I searched the sea of parents with their cameras and proud smiles. My seat was empty. Mrs. Henderson, my teacher, had to stand next to me while they took the photo, her hand on my shoulder where my mom's should have been. I smiled anyway because that's what you do, right? You smile when people are taking your picture, even when your chest feels like someone's sitting on it. I found out later that Mom had forgotten because she was taking Sarah shopping for a birthday party outfit. Not Sarah's birthday party, her friend's. A 6-year-old's birthday party was more important than my award ceremony. When I got home, my drawing carefully rolled in my backpack. Mom was sitting on the couch, bags from the mall scattered around her. Sarah was showing off a new dress, twirling in front of the hallway mirror. "Oh, sweetie, your drawing wasn't that important, was it?" Mom said when I asked why she didn't come. "We can hang it on the fridge just the same." Sarah got 3 new outfits that day. I got a magnet on the refrigerator. That was the pattern. It took me years to see it clearly, but once I did, I couldn't unsee it. Sarah was the golden child, the one they doted on, protected, prioritized. And me? I was the responsible one, the one who was self-sufficient, the one they didn't need to worry about because I always figured things out on my own. Except I didn't figure it out on my own. I just learned to cry quietly. to not ask for things, to not expect anything so I couldn't be disappointed. When Sarah turned 16, Dad bought her a Honda Civic, brand new, cherry red, with a bow on top like in those car commercials. There's a photo of her sitting on the hood, arms spread wide, the biggest smile on her face. It's framed in the living room. When I turned 16, I got nothing. When I turned 20, they gave me Dad's old Camry. It was 11 years old, had a crack in the windshield, and the air conditioning didn't work. "You're so practical, Maya," Mom said. "You'll appreciate something reliable." College was the same story. Sarah got into Sarah Lawrence, $70,000 a year. Full ride, no questions asked, paid for by Mom and Dad. I got into UConn with a partial scholarship, and they told me they were proud of me for being financially responsible. I worked 2 part-time jobs through college, one at the campus library, one waitressing on weekends. I graduated summa cum laude with $30,000 in student loans. Sarah graduated with a C+ average and 0 debt. They threw her a graduation party at a 5-star restaurant, invited 30 people, gave her a trip to Europe as a gift. My graduation? They couldn't make it. They were helping Sarah move into her new apartment in New York City. I got a text. "Congrats, grad, so proud." That was it. 1 text, 3 words, and an emoji. But the moment that really crystallized everything, the moment I couldn't lie to myself anymore, happened when I was 15. I'd been accepted into a summer art program at the Rhode Island School of Design, full scholarship. It was a huge deal. RISD is one of the best art schools in the country, and they only took 20 high school students nationwide. My art teacher cried when she told me. She said I was the most talented student she'd had in 20 years of teaching. I was so excited. I ran home, burst through the front door, waved the acceptance letter in the air. Mom was in the kitchen with Sarah, looking at vacation brochures. "Mom, I got in! RISD! Full scholarship!" She glanced up, smiled briefly. "That's wonderful, honey." "Can you drive me? It's in Providence, and I'd need to be there by—" "Oh, sweetie, we can't. Sarah and I are taking a college tour trip that week. It's already booked." I felt my smile falter. "But this is a full scholarship to RISD. It could change my whole future." Mom exchanged a look with Sarah. Then she turned back to me, and her expression was kind but firm. "Maya, you're always so capable. You'll figure it out. Sarah really needs this college tour time with me. You understand, don't you?" I nodded. "Because that's what you do when you're 15 and you want your mom to love you. You say you understand even when you don't, even when it's breaking something inside you." That night, I couldn't sleep. I got up around midnight to get water, and I heard voices from my parents' bedroom. The door was cracked open. "Sarah's our priority," Mom was saying. "She needs more guidance, more support. Maya's always been self-sufficient. She'll figure it out. She always does." "I know," Dad replied. "Maya's tough. Sarah's more delicate." I stood in that hallway, glass of water in my hand, and something inside me went completely still, cold. It was the first time I let myself think the thought I'd been pushing away for years. They don't love me less. They just don't love me at all. I never went to that RISD program. I couldn't figure out the logistics alone at 15. The opportunity passed. My art teacher was heartbroken for me. She said she'd write me another recommendation when I applied to colleges, that I still had so much potential. But something had changed. I stopped showing them my drawings, stopped telling them about awards, stopped expecting them to show up. By the time I was 18, I'd perfected the art of being invisible. I existed in that house like a ghost. I went to school, came home, did my homework, worked my part-time jobs. We had family dinners where they asked Sarah about her day, her friends, her drama, and I sat there moving food around my plate, and no one noticed I hadn't spoken. Family photos were particularly telling. I started noticing it around high school. We'd take Christmas card photos, and somehow I was always on the edge. Sarah in the middle, flanked by Mom and Dad, everyone's arms around each other. Me on the end, half my body cut out when they framed the photo. One year, I found the Christmas card draft in Mom's office. She'd literally cropped me out. The final card that went to relatives was just the three of them. I never said anything. What would I say? "Hey, Mom, did you mean to erase me from the family Christmas card?" She'd have some excuse. She'd say it looked better with 3 people, that it was more balanced, that I was being too sensitive. So I stayed quiet, and I started planning my escape. At 24, I did something brave, or maybe desperate. I tried one more time to connect with them. It was Mom's birthday, and I wanted to show her that I could be the kind of daughter worth paying attention to. I planned everything. I invited them to my apartment in Brooklyn, a tiny studio I could barely afford, but it was mine. I spent my entire day off cooking her favorite meal, pot roast, roasted vegetables, homemade rolls. I decorated with flowers and candles. I bought her a gift I'd saved up for, a silk scarf from her favorite designer, $200 I didn't really have. She arrived 45 minutes late, Dad and Sarah in tow. "Sorry, sweetie," Mom said, not quite meeting my eyes. "We were helping Sarah pick out furniture for her place." I smiled. "No problem, dinner's ready." We sat down. I'd set the table with actual cloth napkins, my one nice set of dishes. I poured wine. I tried so hard to make it special. For 20 minutes, they talked about Sarah, Sarah's new boyfriend, Sarah's job search, Sarah's upcoming weekend plans. I asked questions, smiled, nodded. I waited for someone to ask me something. Anything. How was my job? Was I seeing anyone? Had anything interesting happened? Then Mom checked her watch. "Oh, we should get going. Sarah needs us to help her hang her TV." I blinked. "But we haven't even had dessert. I made your favorite cake." "We'll take it to go, honey. This was lovely, thank you." She was already standing, grabbing her purse. They were gone 10 minutes later, a slice of cake in a takeout container, the scarf I'd given her still in its box, unopened on the table. I sat in that tiny apartment surrounded by the ruins of my effort. 4 place settings, mostly full plates, candles burning low, a birthday cake with 1 slice missing, and I cried in my bathroom with the shower running so my neighbors wouldn't hear. But something shifted that night. I didn't just feel sad anymore. I felt angry. For the first time in my life, I felt genuinely, rightfully angry. A week later, I wrote them an email. A long one. I poured out everything, years of being overlooked, dismissed, treated like I was less important. I didn't yell or accuse. I just told the truth. "I feel invisible in this family," I wrote, "and I don't know how to fix it." Mom's response came 2 days later. "You're being dramatic. We love you both equally. Stop trying to create problems where there aren't any." No phone call, no "let's talk about this." Just dismissal. Again. Sarah texted me an hour later. "Why are you making Mom upset? Just be grateful, Maya. Not everyone has parents who care." I stared at that text for a long time. Then I realized something crucial. They didn't want to see the problem because to see the problem meant admitting they were the problem, and narcissists never admit fault. They just rewrite history until they're the heroes and you're the ungrateful villain. 2 months later, I accepted a job offer in Seattle, 2,800 miles away, far enough that stopping by wasn't an option, far enough that I could breathe. I didn't tell them until I'd already signed the lease, bought the plane ticket, given notice at my job. I sent a text. "I'm moving to Seattle next month." Mom's response. "That's so far. What about family dinners?" The irony was stunning. I hadn't been invited to a family dinner in 6 months. "Dad, are you sure? Seattle's expensive." He'd never worried about my finances before, never offered help with my student loans or rent. But now he was concerned about Seattle's cost of living. "Sarah, you're so dramatic. Running away won't solve anything." I didn't bother explaining. I just started packing. Seattle hit me like a cold slap to the face. The studio apartment I could afford was 400 square feet and cost $1,850 a month. My graphic designer position paid $65,000, which sounded great until I realized Seattle's cost of living made it feel like 40,000 anywhere else. For the first 3 months, I ate ramen and peanut butter sandwiches. I had no social life because I couldn't afford to go out. I worked 9 to 6, came home to my tiny apartment, and stared at the walls, wondering if I'd made a huge mistake. But here's the weird thing. I wasn't homesick for them. I was homesick for the idea of a family, for what I'd always wanted them to be but never were. In April, 4 months after moving, I dragged myself to a Creative Mornings event. It's this monthly breakfast lecture series for creative professionals. I almost didn't go because it meant spending $12 on a ticket and getting up early on a Friday. But my coworker had literally pushed me toward the door and said, "You need friends, Maya. Go meet humans." That's where I met Claire. She was 45, a creative director at a branding agency, and she had this energy, confident, warm, real. We ended up sitting at the same table during breakfast, and she noticed I was looking at my portfolio on my laptop during the break. "Is that your work?" she asked, leaning over. I nodded, suddenly self-conscious. "Can I see?" I turned the screen toward her. She scrolled through slowly, studying each piece. Then she looked at me with this expression I'd never seen directed at me before. Genuine respect. "Your work is incredible," she said. "Why are you playing small?" That question hit different than she probably intended. "What do you mean?" "I mean, this is senior level work, but I'm guessing you're not in a senior position. And the way you just hunched when I looked at your screen? You're talented, but you don't believe it. Why?" I didn't have an answer. Or I did, but it was too complicated to explain to a stranger in a coffee shop. Claire handed me her business card. Coffee, my treat. "Let's talk about your career. I think you have way more potential than you're accessing." That coffee meeting changed my life. Claire became my mentor, but she was more than that. She was the first person who saw me, really saw me, and thought I was worth investing in. She asked questions about my goals, my process, my inspirations. She introduced me to people. She recommended me for freelance projects. "You're waiting for permission to be great," she told me 6 months into our friendship. "From who?" The question haunted me because I knew the answer. My family. I was still, somehow, waiting for them to notice me, to be proud, to say I mattered. "You need to stop waiting," Claire said. "Nobody's going to hand you your dream life. You have to build it. And the beautiful thing about building it yourself is that you only include people who deserve access." So I started building. Claire connected me with a freelance branding project for a local bookstore. The owner was this sweet woman in her 60s who'd run the shop for 30 years. She wanted to rebrand to attract younger customers without losing her core audience. I worked on that project like my life depended on it. Research, mood boards, 3 complete design directions. When I presented the final brand identity, she cried. "You understood us," she said, touching the designs with trembling fingers. "I couldn't explain what we needed, but you understood." That feeling, being seen, being understood, being appreciated, I'd never experienced it in my family. And getting it from a stranger for my work, it cracked something open inside me. The bookstore rebrand won a Seattle Design Award 6 months later. Local press did a feature, "Rising Designer to Watch." The article mentioned my name, my studio, my vision. I texted my family a link, generic responses, nice and cool, and a thumbs-up emoji from Dad. No one asked questions. No one said they were proud. No one called. So I ran an experiment. I didn't tell them about any of my next projects. I didn't share articles, awards, or achievements. I wanted to see if they'd Google my name, if they'd notice I'd gone silent about my career, if they'd ask. 6 months passed, not one question. The family group chat was active. Lots of discussion about Sarah's job interviews, Sarah's new apartment decoration, Sarah's dating life. But about me? Nothing. That's when I really understood. They didn't care because they'd never cared. My absence of information was just as invisible as my presence had always been, and something in me shifted from sad to resolved. If they weren't going to be part of my success story, fine. I'd write it without them. By the time I hit my 1-year anniversary in Seattle, I'd built something real, My freelance income equaled my full-time salary. I had 5 regular clients. My Instagram portfolio had 5,000 followers. Other designers were reaching out asking to collaborate. I quit my corporate job and launched Revive Design Studio. I rented a desk in a co-working space in Pioneer Square, surrounded by other freelancers and small business owners. People who'd chosen to be there, people who showed up. I met Jamie, a photographer, and Priya, a copywriter, at the space. We started having lunch together, then coffee, then we formed an unofficial collective, referring clients to each other, collaborating on projects. Jamie said something one day that stuck with me. We were grabbing lunch, and I'd mentioned something vague about not being close with my family. "Your family doesn't know what they're missing," she said simply. I hadn't told her any details, but somehow she knew. And the way she said it, matter of fact, like it was the most obvious thing in the world, it made me feel less crazy, less like there was something wrong with me. For the first time in my life, I had people who chose to be around me, not because we shared DNA, because they liked me, respected me, wanted to know me. That's what a real family feels like, I realized, and I'd never had it before. My second year in Seattle was when everything exploded. I landed a contract with a tech startup in Portland, a $45,000 brand identity project, the biggest thing I'd ever done solo. I worked on it for 3 months: research, strategy, design, brand guidelines. When I presented the final work, the founders stood up and applauded. The CEO, a guy named Alex, who couldn't have been older than 32, shook my hand and said, "This is exactly what we needed. You're brilliant." The startup launched with my branding. 3 months later, they got featured in TechCrunch. The article mentioned their striking visual identity and credited me by name. My phone blew up with inquiries. Suddenly, I had more work than I could handle. The day the TechCrunch article came out, I got 3 missed calls from Dad. I stared at my phone, heart pounding. I didn't call back. An hour later, a text. "Do you have time to help your sister move again? She's switching apartments." Not, "Congratulations on the TechCrunch feature." Not, "We saw your work," just another request to be useful. I put my phone face down and went back to work. They still thought I was the same girl who'd sit at the edge of family photos and smile, the same girl who'd drop everything to help, the same girl who'd accept crumbs and call it love. But I wasn't her anymore. I was building an empire, and they had no idea. Revenue that year, $180,000. I hired my first assistant, a college student named Emily, who was brilliant and hungry, and reminded me of myself 5 years earlier. I spoke as a keynote at Design Week Portland. Adobe contacted me. They wanted to feature my work in their Creative Cloud showcase. My LinkedIn profile hit 15,000 followers. Companies I dreamed of working with were sliding into my DMs. I upgraded apartments, 2 bedrooms, a view of Puget Sound, the kind of place I'd only fantasized about. And my family, they had no idea, because I stopped telling them anything. In December, the family group chat lit up. "Family trip to Hawaii planned, March 15th, 22. Sarah found an amazing deal." I felt a little flutter of something. Hope, maybe? After 2 years of distance, maybe this was an olive branch, a chance to reconnect. "Sounds fun," I texted back. "Send me details." A week passed. No details. I followed up. "Hey, what's the flight info?" "Mom, oh sorry, so busy. We'll send soon." 2 weeks before the trip, I finally got the information. Flight details, hotel reservation, itinerary. I screenshot everything, added it to my calendar in 3 different places. March 15th, 9:45 a.m. departure from JFK. I was excited, genuinely excited. Maybe this trip would be different. Maybe we could talk, really talk. Maybe I could tell them about my life, and they'd be proud. I finished a big client project early specifically so I could have the week free. I bought new swimsuits, planned activities, researched restaurants. I texted the family chat, "Can't wait, this'll be amazing." Sarah, "Yeah." Mom, Dad, no one said, "Actually, about that." The night before the flight, I packed carefully. Carry-on, beach clothes, sunscreen, the book I'd been saving for vacation reading. I set 3 alarms. I was too excited to sleep properly, maybe 4 hours total. At 4:30 in the morning, I was up, showered, dressed, final check of my bag. I ordered an Uber at 5:15. JFK at 6 a.m. is already chaotic, but I navigated it easily. Terminal 5, just like the ticket said. I grabbed coffee, found a seat near the gate, pulled out my phone to text the family group chat. "Where are you guys? I'm at Terminal 5. 6:15. No response. 6:30. Nothing. 6:45. I called Mom. That's when my world came apart. "We're in Honolulu, sweetie." And that's where my real story begins. I stand there in Terminal 5, phone pressed to my ear, trying to process what my mother just said. "What? The flight is at 9:45. Why didn't you come to the airport yesterday, sweetie?" Her voice has this confused, almost concerned tone that makes my stomach drop to my feet. "Yesterday? You sent me March 15th, 9:45 a.m. I have the text right." "No, we sent March 14th. You must have misread, honey." Click. She hangs up. My hands are shaking so badly I almost drop my phone. I pull up the email thread immediately, my heart hammering. There it is. The email from Mom sent 3 weeks ago. Flight details, March 15th, 9:45 a.m., JFK Terminal 5. See you there. March 15th, not 14th, 15th. I screenshot it. Then I go to the text thread. Mom's message from 2 weeks ago. "Don't forget, March 15th, morning flight." March 15th. I'm not crazy. I didn't misread. They lied. "Are you okay, dear?" I look up. An elderly woman is standing next to me, concern etched on her face. She's maybe 70, with kind eyes and a practical travel outfit. Comfortable shoes, a cardigan, a crossbody bag. I open my mouth to say I'm fine, but what comes out is a choked sob. "Oh, honey." She sits down next to me, pulling a packet of tissues from her bag. "What happened?" I don't know why I tell her. Maybe because she's a stranger. Maybe because she asked. Maybe because I'm so shocked I need to say it out loud to believe it. "My family flew to Hawaii yesterday," I manage. "They told me the flight was today. They're already there." She's quiet for a moment, and I'm preparing for her to say something about honest mistakes, about misunderstandings. But she doesn't. "Let me see your phone," she says gently. I hand it to her, pulled up to the messages. She scrolls through slowly, her expression hardening. "Oh, honey," she says again, but her tone is different now. Sharp, angry on my behalf. That's deliberate. No one misreads dates like that, not when it's written so clearly. Hearing someone else say it, confirm it, breaks something in me. I start crying for real, not quiet tears. Ugly, gasping sobs that make people around us look over. The woman doesn't flinch. She just sits there handing me tissues, her hand on my shoulder. "I'm Patricia," she says, "retired family therapist, and what they did isn't normal. It's not okay." We sit there for 20 minutes. She doesn't try to fix it or minimize it. She just sits with me while I fall apart in the middle of an airport terminal. Finally, when I can breathe again, she pulls out a business card. "If you need to talk, call me." I mean it. What they did is emotional abuse, and you shouldn't have to process that alone. I take the card with shaking hands. Patricia gives me one more hug, then heads toward her gate. I'm alone again. Terminal 5 swirls around me, full of people going places, starting vacations, living normal lives. I order an Uber back to my apartment. The ride back to Brooklyn is a blur. I stare out the window, numb. My phone buzzes repeatedly, but I can't look at it. Can't face whatever's waiting there. When I finally make it inside my apartment, I drop my suitcase by the door and just stand there. The place is exactly how I left it this morning. Clean, organized, ready for me to be gone for a week. The new swimsuits I bought are still laid out on my bed, tags attached. The book I was going to read on the beach sits on my nightstand. I'd even cleaned out my fridge, thrown away anything that might go bad while I was gone. I'd been excited, genuinely, stupidly excited. My phone buzzes again. I finally look at it. The family group chat is exploding. Sarah has posted a photo. It's her at the airport, yesterday's airport, wearing a sundress and sunglasses, throwing up a peace sign. Hawaii bound. Then another. This one's at baggage claim in Honolulu. Made it! Another. The three of them, Mom, Dad, Sarah, at the hotel pool. Big smiles, tropical drinks. Sarah's caption, family vacay, all mama, dad. No tag for me, no mention. I scroll through the comments. Aunts, uncles, family, friends. Have fun! So jealous, a beautiful. Then Aunt Carol. Where's Maya? Sarah's response. She couldn't make it. Couldn't. Not didn't. Couldn't. Like it was my choice. Like I decided not to come. My phone buzzes with a direct text from Mom. Sorry you missed the flight. You should double-check details next time. I stare at that message. Read it 5 times. The gaslighting is so blatant, it's almost impressive. Another text from Mom. We can't cancel now. Hotel's non-refundable. Enjoy the week at home. Enjoy the week at home. Like this is some kind of spa retreat I opted for. Then Sarah texts privately, why didn't you just check the date? We're having an amazing time, BTW. Attached is a photo of her by the pool, cocktail in hand. I don't respond. I can't. There are no words for what I'm feeling. I sit on my apartment floor for 2 hours, paralyzed. Finally, I call the number on the card Patricia gave me. She answers on the second ring. Patricia, it's Maya from the airport. Oh, honey, how are you holding up? They're acting like I missed the flight by accident, I say. My voice sounds hollow even to my own ears, like it's my fault. That's what manipulative people do, Patricia says gently. They rewrite reality so they're never the villain. Maya, I've been a therapist for 35 years. What your family did, deliberately excluding you and then pretending it was your mistake, that's textbook emotional abuse. Hearing the words said plainly by a professional makes it real in a way it wasn't before. They did this on purpose, didn't they? I whisper. Yes, honey, they did. We talk for an hour. Patricia doesn't tell me what to do. She just asks questions, helps me see patterns I've been too close to notice. By the time we hang up, something has shifted. I'm not just hurt anymore, I'm clear. The next day, Emily, my assistant from the studio, texts me. Hey, saw you're off this week. Have fun in Hawaii. I don't respond. I can't explain it over text. An hour later, there's a knock on my door. It's Emily. She's holding 2 coffees and a bag from the bakery down the street. You're here, she says, taking in my appearance. Same clothes as yesterday, puffy eyes, apartment dark. You're supposed to be in Hawaii. Come in, I say. I tell her everything. Not just about the flight, but about everything. Years of being overlooked. The pattern, the favoritism, the way they've treated me like a resource instead of a daughter. Emily listens without interrupting. When I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. Maya, she finally says, you know who my mom knows? Claire, your mentor. Do you want me to call her? No, I say automatically. I need to think. Okay, but whatever you decide to do, and I mean whatever, I'm with you. They don't deserve you. After Emily leaves, I do something I haven't done in years. I go through my old boxes of family photos. I spread them out on my living room floor. Birthday parties where Sarah got elaborate cakes and I got store-bought cupcakes. Holidays where Sarah's Christmas pile was twice the size of mine. Family vacations where I'm literally cropped out of the frame or standing at the edge, half out of view. Then I pull up old emails. Every time they've asked me for something, to co-sign Sarah's apartment lease, to loan Sarah money for emergencies that never got paid back, to babysit, to help with moves, to be available. I make a list. $3,000 in loans to Sarah, never repaid. 14 times I've helped her move in the last 5 years. Countless hours of free design work for Mom's clients that she took credit for. The pattern is undeniable. I'm not a daughter, I'm a resource, and I'm done. That week passes in a strange haze. I don't respond to any family messages. I work on client projects from home. I go through the motions. The family group chat continues without me. More photos from Hawaii. Beach sunsets, fancy dinners, shopping trips. Sarah posts on Instagram, Best week ever with my favorite people. Her favorite people. Not including me. On day 6, I get a text from Mom. We're back tomorrow. Sarah brought you a souvenir. Come to dinner Sunday? Like nothing happened. Like they didn't deliberately sabotage my trip and then gaslight me about it. I stare at that text for a full hour before I respond. I need space. Do not contact me for a while. The response is immediate. Mom. Space? We're family. You can't just ignore us. Me, I can. And I am. Dad calls. I don't answer. Sarah calls. I don't answer. Mom calls from a different number. I block it. Then I do something I've never done before. I block all their numbers. Not permanently. I tell myself it's not permanent, but I need silence. I need to think without their voices in my head telling me I'm overreacting, being dramatic, making problems where there aren't any. The next morning, Claire texts me. Coffee. Now, Emily told me you're not in Hawaii. I meet her at our usual place in Capitol Hill. She's already there when I arrive, 2 coffees on the table. Tell me, she says simply. So I do. I tell her everything, not just the Hawaii situation, but the whole history. I've never told anyone the full story before. Bits and pieces, sure, but never all of it. Claire listens without interrupting. When I finish, her expression is fierce. Maya, I've known about your family dynamic from the things you don't say, she tells me. The way you downplay your achievements. The way you're always surprised when people appreciate you. The way you never talk about family events. I didn't want to be that person, I say. The one who complains about their family. Complaining is, my parents are annoying. What you're describing is systematic emotional neglect and manipulation. Claire leans forward. I cut off my toxic mother 10 years ago. Best decision I ever made. Hardest decision, but the best. I don't know if I can do that, I whisper. You don't have to decide that right now. But Maya, you need to understand something. You've built something incredible. A business, a reputation, a life. They don't get to take credit for that. They don't get access to that. Not unless they earn it. What do I do? What do you want? That's the question, isn't it? What do I want? I think about it for a long moment. Then I say, clearly, for the first time in my life, I want them to understand what they lost, and I want to be free. Then be free, Claire says simply. Over the next few days, my chosen family rallies. Jamie texts, heard what happened. They're garbage. You're family to us now. Marcus, a venture capitalist I'd met at a design conference who'd become a friend, reaches out. My parents did the same thing. Went no contact 5 years ago. Life's exponentially better. Coffee if you want to talk. Priya, taking you to dinner. No arguments. You need chosen family time. Members of the Seattle Creative Guild, the exclusive group I'd been invited to join, send supportive messages. You're one of us. They're not worth your energy. For the first time, I realize I'm not alone. I have people who care about me. Not because they have to, because they want to. 2 weeks after the Hawaii disaster, I'm at my desk working on a rebrand for a boutique hotel chain when Emily walks in with a strange expression. Maya, you need to see this. She hands me her phone. It's open to an article in Seattle Business Journal. Local designer's studio hits $500K revenue mark. I blink. What? They published the feature. The one you did the interview for 2 months ago, remember? I'd forgotten about it. The journalist had reached out for a profile on rising Seattle entrepreneurs. I'd done the interview, answered questions, and then forgotten about it because who reads the Business Journal anyway? But people do read it. Apparently, lots of people. The article is detailed. My client list. Tech companies, boutique hotels, national brands, revenue figures, growth trajectory. There's even a quote from me that I barely remember giving. Success tastes sweeter when you earn it without expecting validation from those who never believed in you. Past me was apparently more insightful than I realized. The article goes semi-viral in design communities. My LinkedIn explodes. By the end of the day, I have 50,000 views, 2,000 reactions, dozens of messages from potential clients. Old college friends share it. I remember Maya. She was always talented. And then the distant relatives start texting my parents. I know because 3 days later, my phone rings from a number I don't recognize. I answer. It's Mom, calling from what must be someone else's phone. Maya! She sounds breathless, excited. We saw the article. Why didn't you tell us? You never asked, I say calmly. We're so proud. We should celebrate. Come home this weekend. Home, like I still consider Connecticut home. No. There's a pause. What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm not coming. I'm busy. Maya, don't be ridiculous. We want to celebrate your success. Now you want to celebrate. Where were you for every other success? My voice is steady, calm. Where were you when I graduated summa cum laude? When I got my first major client? When I spoke at Design Week? When Adobe featured my work? We didn't know about those things. Because you never asked. In 2 years, you never once asked about my career. You never Googled my name, you never showed interest. But now that it's in a business journal, now you're proud. That's not fair. Do you know what is fair? The fact that I'm not obligated to share my life with people who made it clear I'm only valuable when I'm useful. I hang up. My hands are shaking, but I feel powerful. For the first time in my life, I set a boundary and held it. Over the next week, the family attempts to reconnect intensify. Dad texts from his regular number. I'd unblock them to see what they'd say. Your mother's very hurt. We love you. We've always supported you. I screenshot old messages, them canceling on me, dismissing my achievements, prioritizing Sarah, and send them back. This is your version of support, I write. No response. Sarah texts, why are you being so mean? Mom's crying. I'm not being mean, I respond. I'm being absent, like you all were for 28 years. Then the family gossip network activates. Aunt Carol, Mom's sister, calls. Maya, your mother says you're not speaking to the family. What's going on? Did she tell you why? I ask. She said you're upset about missing the Hawaii trip. Did she tell you they deliberately gave me the wrong date? There's a long pause. What? I send her the screenshots. The emails showing March 15th, the texts showing March 15th, then their messages from Hawaii acting like I'd misread. Oh my God, Carol whispers. Maya, I had no idea it was like this. Most people don't, I say. They're good at looking perfect. Carol is quiet for a moment. You know, I've noticed over the years, the way they treat you versus Sarah. I thought maybe I was imagining it. But I wasn't, was I? No, you weren't. She apologizes, actually apologizes. I should have said something. I should have stood up for you. You didn't know the extent of it. Most people don't see what happens behind closed doors. Other relatives start reaching out privately, cousins, aunts, uncles. We've noticed how they treat you. We always thought it was strange. You deserved better. The validation feels good, but it also feels strange. Where were these people before? But I understand. Family dynamics are complicated. People don't want to see ugly truths about people they love. A month passes, then 2. I don't reach out, neither do my parents, not really. There are occasional texts, generic, surface level. How are you? With no real interest in the answer. Then Mom sends a long email. Maya, we're sorry if we made you feel less important than Sarah. We never meant to hurt you. We just knew you were always so independent, so capable. You didn't need us the way Sarah does. She's not as naturally talented as you are. We had to give her more attention, more help. But we love you both the same. Please don't let this come between us. We're family. I read it 5 times. It's not an apology. It's a justification. Sorry if you felt isn't sorry we did. And the reasoning that I was neglected because I was capable is insane. I write an email back. I don't send it, but I write it. For me. You're not sorry you hurt me. You're sorry you got caught. You're not sad I'm gone. You're embarrassed I'm successful without you. You don't miss me. You miss the idea of a complete family photo. Real parents don't need their child to become publicly successful before they notice her worth. And you know what? I don't need your validation anymore. I never actually had it, so I'm not losing anything by walking away. I save it in my drafts. Maybe someday I'll send it. Maybe I won't. Instead, I send a different email. Shorter, clearer. I'm open to rebuilding our relationship under these conditions. 1. Full acknowledgement of the pattern of favoritism, not just the Hawaii incident. 2. Family therapy with a licensed professional. 3. No contact with Sarah until she apologizes for enabling this behavior. 4. Respect for my boundaries about visit frequency and communication. 5. Understanding this will take years, not weeks. If you can't agree to these terms, then we have nothing further to discuss. Mom's response comes within an hour. This is ridiculous. We're not going to therapy like we're bad parents. Dad, you're being unreasonable. We made one mistake about a flight. Sarah, you're tearing this family apart with your selfishness. I reply to all three with one message. Noted. My boundaries stand. Contact me when you're ready to meet them. Then silence. Week 1, nothing. Week 2, nothing. Week 3, Aunt Carol texts. They're telling everyone you cut them off for no reason. Let them, I respond. People who matter know the truth. And I mean it. I'm at dinner with my chosen family, Claire, Jamie, Priya, Emily, Marcus, at a new restaurant in Fremont. We're celebrating Marcus's latest successful funding round and Jamie's photo exhibit opening next month. Someone, I think it's Priya, asks, "Do you ever regret cutting them off?" I consider the question seriously. I regret I didn't do it sooner. I spent 28 years trying to earn love that was never available. I was knocking on a door that was never going to open. Claire raises her glass. To the family we choose, not the one we're born into. We all drink to that. Later that night, lying in bed in my beautiful apartment with the view of Puget Sound, I think about where I was a year ago, sitting on the floor of my apartment, crying over the Hawaii trip, feeling worthless, and where I am now, studio hitting 7 figures in annual revenue. Speaking engagement at TEDx Seattle booked for next month, featured in Forbes 30 Under 30 list that just came out. 2 new team members hired, client waitlist extending into next year. But more than that, I have peace, real peace. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Patricia, the therapist from the airport. We've stayed in touch over the months. Saw your Forbes feature. Proud of you, honey. You're thriving. I smile and respond, "Thank you for sitting with me that morning. You helped me see the truth." You already knew the truth. You just needed someone to confirm you weren't crazy. She's right. 3 months after that dinner, I'm working late at the studio when my phone rings. It's Aunt Carol. "Maya, your mom asked about you today. I told her you were thriving." She cried. "I'm not sure if it's guilt or grief. Maybe both. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you." "Thank you," I say, and I mean it. But I don't call Mom back. I don't reach out. Because the truth is, I'm not waiting anymore. I spent 28 years waiting for them to see me, to value me, to choose me. I'm done waiting. That night, I post something on Instagram. Not for them, I don't even know if they follow my account, but for me, for everyone who's ever felt invisible in their own family. The photo is of me in my studio, surrounded by design work, my team visible in the background. The caption reads, "I used to think success meant making people proud who never saw my value. Now I know success is building a life so fulfilling that their absence doesn't create a void. It creates space. Space for people who choose to be there. Space for work that matters. Space for self-worth that doesn't depend on blood relation. Some people spend their lives trying to fix broken families. I spent mine building a family that was never broken to begin with, because I chose every member carefully. To anyone feeling invisible in their own family, your worth isn't determined by those who can't see it. Walk away. Build your empire. Surround yourself with people who celebrate you not because you're related, but because you're you. The best revenge isn't success. It's peace. And I finally have both. The post goes viral in my community. Hundreds of comments from people sharing their own stories. Messages from strangers saying, I needed to hear this. DMs from people asking how I found the courage. The courage wasn't in leaving. The courage was in finally believing I deserved more. 6 months later, my studio expands. We move into a bigger space. I hire 2 more designers. We rebrand from Revive Design Studio to Phoenix Creative Collective. Phoenix, rising from the ashes. The symbolism isn't subtle, but I don't care. It's true. I'm standing in our new studio space watching my team collaborate on a project when Emily walks over with a coffee. You good, boss? I smile. Yeah, I'm really good. And I am. My phone buzzes. It's an email from a new potential client. Subject line, 200K brand strategy project, interested. Another buzz. Text from Jamie. Dinner tonight? Priya's cooking. Another. Claire. Proud of you, kid. Coffee this week. My life is full, rich, meaningful. And my family, they're not in it. I used to think that would make me sad. But standing here, in the life I built, surrounded by people who chose me, I realized something. You can't miss what you never had. That evening, I'm at my condo, watering the plants by the window. The Seattle skyline is lit up against the sunset, all purple and gold. It's beautiful. My phone buzzes one more time. Aunt Carol again. Your mom's been talking about you lately. She sounds regretful. Still not ready to do therapy, but I think she's starting to understand what she lost. Thought you'd want to know. I read it, then set my phone down. I don't respond right away. Maybe I will later. Maybe I won't. The thing is, their regret isn't my responsibility. Their awakening isn't my burden to manage. For 28 years, I waited by doors that never opened. I stood at airports, literal and metaphorical, waiting for people who were never coming. But I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not standing at any airports. I'm not checking my phone hoping they'll finally see me. I'm not trying to prove my worth to people who made it clear I don't have any in their eyes. I'm just living, building, thriving. And you know what? That's enough. I return to my plants, watering them carefully, mindfully. I've gotten really into plants over the past year. Claire says it's because I'm learning to nurture things that actually grow when you care for them. She's probably right. Through the window, I can see the city I chose, the life I built, the family I created from scratch, piece by careful piece, person by person. They say you can't choose your family, but I did. And for the first time in my life, I'm not waiting by any airport for people who were never planning to show up. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. If this story resonated with you, whether you've experienced something similar or you're still trying to figure out if you should walk away from toxic family dynamics, remember this: you don't owe loyalty to people who treat you like an option. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is not confront them, not seek revenge, but simply build a life so beautiful that their absence becomes irrelevant. Thank you for staying until the end. If you'd like more stories about finding strength in difficult family situations, subscribe and hit the bell. And remember, you're not alone.